Hi all, my name is Nicolette Durso. In this post, I'm going to be talking about the podcast What We Went Through from April 25th, 2018. I think one of the biggest things that I learned was it is really a tough job to be a principal or superintendent making decisions on what to do with struggling teachers. There are so many things to consider, like how much support is enough before you make drastic changes, how will it affect the rest of the teaching staff, how will it affect the students, and how will it affect the parents, the community, the school, as well as the administration? For now, I will say this has made me think a bit more about principals I've dealt with in the past and the superintendent and the principal at the school where I am doing my field experience now. Here are some of the takeaways from this podcast. It seems that charter schools are formed so they can do better than the district-run schools. If that is the case, then there is a lot of pressure on them to prove they can do better. It also seems the way to prove it is through the results of standardized test scores. The focus of this podcast was on a school in a poor neighborhood in Philadelphia, with struggling students both in family life and academics. The competition would be district-run schools in the same neighborhood with the same type of students. The one benefit for the charter school is that usually to get into a charter school, students have to fill out forms and hope to get selected, usually by a lottery system. So it would lead me to believe that there might be a little better support from these families because at least these families were taking the initiative to try and give their child what they hoped would be a better place to be educated. The problem in this school is that just like the district school, these families are struggling to keep food on the table, keep their families intact. Many don't have father figures around. More than likely, the families are not well educated, and there is violence all around them. This leads to another key takeaway from this podcast. I think it is important to know the neighborhood your students are coming from, their backgrounds, their religion and culture, and their family situations. The more we know about them, what their lives are about, the more we can connect with them. The more we can connect with them, the more they can feel that they can relate to us and that we understand them. Our students need to feel safe in their environment, not just physically, but emotionally, and that means they need to feel we care about them. To show we care about them means we need to know them. The replacement teacher, Tamika Benjamin, said, "And so when you can't relate, and the kids feel that there is no authentic relationship created, your classroom management is not going to be smooth, and classroom management to me drives instruction." She went on to say, "They are looking for somebody to love them. It doesn't matter what color you are, because we have white teachers here who our kids absolutely adore." Right from the beginning of my field experience last semester, I asked my cooperating teacher for a list of students and their difficulties. I didn't receive that information right away. However, I still felt like I connected with the students, and they related to me and were really engaged with my lessons. But maybe I could have reached some of the more struggling students if I had known more about them, instead of coming to my own conclusions. I did later on receive the information needed, and I did feel as though I was able to reach some of the more struggling students afterward. When I am at my field experience this semester, the cooperating teacher I have does not have any breaks for us to sit down and really chat. So I got a ride to the school after school hours on her parent-teacher conference day. We sat and chatted about each student, and she filled me in on how she is helping each of them. I had only been there 2 times prior, but she invited me to sit in on the parent-teacher conference with 2 of her students. The principal was present at one of the 2 conferences for one of the children who is struggling and in need of starting the IEP process. For the second conference, it was the principal who invited me to stay. I asked questions before and after the conferences about the students and what was being discussed. I also took notes for my own future reference. I feel I was able to do this because even though I was only there a short time, I dove right in on the very first day to get to know the students, and then I furthered my understanding by taking the extra time to meet with my cooperating teacher outside of the school day hours. As teachers, it is important to get to know our students so we can show them we care about them. Something else Benjamin said which is important is that we should always try to make connections between their world and their academics. I know to do this in preschool. When talking about something like snow when they are 3 years old, they may not be excited because they may not have really experienced it or played out in the snow yet. So I know to wait until it snows and have families send a photo of them in the snow doing something. We share that, and then they can connect and learn more about it. They can then relate to the stories I read to them and other experiences we do together. I also remember in the classroom having a book. It was called Hats of Faith. Even though it was a Catholic school, it included hats of different faiths, like, for example, for the Sikh children. That was important because there were 3 Sikhs in that class, and they all wore putkas. Knowing that was included in their picture books made them feel welcomed, safe, and accepted by me. In my field experience this semester, I will be there for their Valentine's Day celebration tomorrow. I found out that they all like Bluey, and so that is the Valentine cards that I chose to get, to write out, and to give to them for tomorrow. I have to say I agree with the decision to demote the teacher featured in the podcast, and I applaud the administrators for their very difficult decision, and quite possibly a very risky one if it were a public school. During the fall 2023 semester, I took a semester off of college, and I worked as the aftercare teacher and substitute teacher in a Catholic school back home where the art teacher was. The art teacher was very unprofessional. He made many students very uncomfortable, and he made teachers uncomfortable, including myself. He couldn't teach or control the students, and really should have not just been demoted, but fired as well. He was not. He was talked to a few times, and another teacher was asked to support him. But that didn't help. He didn't follow any of the suggestions. The principal sat in for a few minutes once. That was it. In the situation with Nate Higgins from the podcast, I feel they gave him the support and time to do better, but it seems like it just wasn't a good fit for him. It seems as if he just did not have that connection that was so badly needed in that school. Not every teacher is the best for every teaching position. The Worcester administration did what was best for the students. That is their job. I think the school environment as a whole benefited from it because the students were better behaved in math class, which probably then spilled out into other classes. After all, when you feel successful in one class, you will probably feel more capable in another. I think families appreciated it as well, especially in the end when they saw the difference. The decision helped build trust from the parents in the school, which always helps in all other situations. It might have put other teachers more on edge and worry about their job security and salary increases. It could also make the others step up and do their best and ask for support and guidance when needed. As far as Nate Higgins, he was able to finish out the school year and move on to another school, where he was a better fit, and it seems he is doing well there, which means he is happier in the end as well. I suppose a young educator has different advantages than one who has been in the school system longer, and I suppose it was up to the school hiring to know what they were looking for. A young educator should come in with all the latest knowledge and energy, but a seasoned teacher comes with lots of experience. I look at the teachers around me. My cooperating teacher from this semester seems pretty young, and she is passionate about what she is doing. Then I look at my mom, who has been teaching for about 40 years, taught in 3 different states, and she has taught everything from preschool through 4th grade. She comes with lots of experience, but is always eager to learn more and try new things. She needs to. She says the preschool scene is so different now than what it was when she first began her career, and has even changed several times through these years since the COVID shutdowns. Other seasoned teachers I met at her school last year seem good but set in their ways, unable to switch to the new curriculum given to them. As the podcast says, their ways are obsolete. Many times the younger educator can be molded to what the school is looking for, and so they are more desirable for those schools. Nate Higgins from the podcast was a seasoned teacher, set in his ways. He struggled with controlling the classroom because he couldn't relate to the students, and maybe he didn't try to learn more about their backgrounds and their struggles, so he didn't connect with them. So even though he was a seasoned teacher, he was set in his own ways of behavior management, which just did not work with this group of students. Tamika Benjamin replaced him. She was not certified in the state. She was much younger and had no experience as a teacher in her own classroom. She couldn't pass her certification exams. Benjamin had something more important, though. She had the understanding to connect with her students, show them she cared about them, and that they were worthy of the education she was going to give them. That's all.